It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Get in the van. We're going for our Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That, of course, Alan Saunders. Looks like he was getting some red light therapy yet again. And it is Friday, which means Steelers DB, is joining us. Don't worry, folks. He skipped out on the SN Plus subscribers only live stream, but he decided to join us today to make up for it. DB, how we doing? Your mic's muted, by the way.
All right, we're off to a good start. No, I'm doing well. I am excited to talk about Steelers Bears and this sort of interesting, I guess, injury report that's coming up. But yeah,
oh boy,
I do apologize for missing the SM Plus for all of you guys that were there, but I'm here today. So
we threw you under the bus quite a few times. I mean, you did let us know it was going to be tough for you to do it because of family stuff that you had going on. So.
I'm not gonna lie. There's certain things in life that I'm able to kind of escape, and I can kind of just tell my wife that, hey, like, I'm gonna need to bounce out on this. Family photos, not one of those things. So I don't know. I just completely spaced that we scheduled that, to be completely honest with you. I didn't think about it until I saw Alan post the graphic in the group chat. So yeah, that's on me.
It can be forgiven that it was for family photos. However, we sat on here and decided the date together. So we'll let you guys be the judge.
Because mainly of my schedule too. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We'll let you guys in the comments be the judge of if we should continue to give DB flack for it. Alan, how are we feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, well, let's talk about some guys that might not be good. Let's go to the injury report because it's a very interesting injury report, as DB kind of said there. Maybe some steps back taken here, like on the Steelers side of things. And when you look at practice on Thursday, I think all of a sudden feeling like very good about Alex Highsmith returning, Darius Slay, whether you want him to play above James Pierre, but at least being in the fold. You know, those couple things specifically. I mean, a full practice for Jalen Warren. He's going to be in. Limited participation for Aaron Rodgers. Questionable tag. We'll see about that. I believe he's going to be in. Cam Hayward in a boot. Like, there's just a lot of interesting things that I feel like happened on Friday that we didn't expect to be talking about just yesterday.
Yeah, I'll start with Cam Hayward. Saw him at the beginning of practice doing his normal thing, which, if you're not aware, on Fridays, so before practice every day, there's like a little mini walkthrough. Like, they have a full walkthrough in the morning, but then right before practice, they do like another little mini walkthrough. And then after that mini walkthrough, we go right into our period of filming and photographing practice, stretching, and then individual periods. Well, Friday is the mini walkthrough of special teams. And so the linebacker, the linemen that don't play special teams, just find ways to keep themselves occupied. So the defensive linemen throw the ball into trash cans from like 20 yards away. Like, Cam Hayward teamed up with TJ Watt against, I don't know, whoever, Patrick Queen and Keanu Benton or whatever it is. And they just throw the football in the garbage can. So saw Cam being his big goofball self as usual, doing that in the first part of practice. And then, I watched all practice. I got to be honest, like, Cam not taking a rep is not like red lights going off for me, because he's 36 freaking years old, and like, give him all the reps off he wants, like, whatever. But then I saw him in a boot after practice, and I was like, oh man, this could be bad. I don't think it's actually going to be bad. I think it may be something where maybe he'll be limited in snap count, but I'm still expecting him to be able to play, but did suffer some kind of ankle injury during practice today. Was in a boot afterward. Would expect an elevated role for Derrick Harmon, and Y.A. Black, I would think even more so, because Harmon's already playing a good bit. Y.A. Black, to me, would be the guy that would be the big beneficiary of the additional playing time, and I am expecting, we'll talk more about this later, this to be a big base defense kind of game, a game where you're going to want that defensive line rotation, so that could end up being meaningful, even if Cam Hayward does end up playing as I expect him to. Aaron Rodgers, really no update from Mike Tomlin. Questionable, limited. I still think he's trending toward playing, but we don't have an official word yet. Probably still giving them some time to see how he responds to these days of practice. And then Alex Highsmith, Doubtful designation. Talked to him a little bit today. He said he heard it in the second quarter against the Chargers, tried to play through it, and then made it worse. And as he said, there's still some optimism. Of course, that was before he was ruled doubtful. I would think probably not going to see him this week. Pretty frustrating season for him on the injury front. Now we'll miss 2 games with this pec injury after missing 2 games with an ankle injury earlier. And then Darius Slay was a full and then went back to limited. That's not what you want to see for a guy in the concussion protocol. I was told he did clear the concussion protocol, so I don't know if this is the symptoms returning or what. So an interesting thing there. It sounds to me, Smitty, you said you wouldn't be surprised if we saw James Pierre ahead of Slay. The trajectory there is wrong for me to feel good about Slay starting now. I think we're probably more likely to see James Pierre. The one piece
I was saying that before. I was saying that assuming full health for Darius Slay, by the way. So I don't want to make it seem like I knew that was coming.
The one piece of fully good news, actually 2 pieces of fully good news. Jalen Warren, good to go. We'll still see if it's a full workload for him. I think that's still in question, but will play coming off that ankle injury. And Keyshawn Williams out of the concussion protocol and a full participant today. He's actually not out of the – he will be out of the concussion protocol like tonight, I'm expecting.
Okay. And still expect that he's going to be the returner and everything like that? Like he hasn't lost that job or anything?
I think it will depend on where they feel like they need roster spots. There is a chance he could just be a healthy scratch. But I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. DB, anything to chime in on the injury front?
I think Alan hit it all. I mean, I think the big thing that people are going to be watching is just obviously if Rodgers plays, given he's had tremendous amount of success against the Bears over the years. But kind of like what Alan said, I'm expecting him to play. I think that he would have to be a lot more injured for him not to play. The fact that there were already reports coming out saying that like he wanted to go back in last week, but they wouldn't let him. I found that to be, interesting just in terms of like what'll happen this weekend. And, it's one of those situations where if he plays and plays poorly, it'll be people second guessing like whether he should have been playing or not. And I don't know. Yeah. I'm to the point where like I'm not really necessarily sure if the Steelers offense is going to dramatically take a step back regardless of who's under center. Personally, it may look a little bit different, but in terms of like the total output, I'm not actually sure, even though I do think the Steelers will be able to move the ball in this matchup regardless.
I did talk to 3 offensive players today who basically all told me that the offense is exactly the same regardless of whether it's Rodgers or Rudolph in there. That they didn't change anything in the second half against Cincinnati. And, they had obviously Rodgers didn't practice Wednesday, so they had Rudolph in there Wednesday. Now Rodgers Thursday, some and Friday, some. Basically everyone said it's pretty much no different.
What they're really saying with that is it's the same with these 2 guys. We want Will Howard to play quarterback. That's what I'm taking from them.
They've been really taken by
the comments
John Rice Plumlee's mobility on the scout team this week. He really is doing a nice job giving that look of Caleb Williams. Maybe he can do it.
Hey, real quick before we do go to the preview predictions, Alan, I wanted to get your opinion on this based off the injury report, the way that it looks like on Friday here. Again, it's always just like dicey to talk about things that happen in practice, which you can't talk about. But like, do you have any feel for who we like could be practice squad elevations this week?
I would say with Cam banged up and with Highsmith doubtful, I'd be pretty surprised if you don't see DeMarvin Leal coming up. Yeah. Seems like that's kind of a no-brainer. He can help with depth at both of those positions. I do think this could be like if Slay doesn't play, I think it'll be Asante Samuel. So I think that one's one of those 2 guys. I'm not expecting an MVS elevation this week if that's something people are wondering about. So we'll see kind kind of where
I was
go.
earlier in the
Other
week,
than
but
that,
I flipped on that. Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure who else I would consider a
Okay.
strong candidate to come up. Mark Robinson, I guess, could come up again. Oh, Lou Nichols, I guess maybe with Warren a little bit banged up, maybe they might want an additional running back, and Nichols can be elevated from the practice squad, whereas they'd have to make a transaction for it to be Sermon, and you can use him on special teams too. So maybe instead of Mark Robinson, it'd be Lou Nichols this week with the banged up and Cole Holcomb healthy. So yeah, I think that actually maybe that does sound more likely.
All right, let's start previewing this thing. DB, I'll throw it to you first. I thought something you said there was a good way to kind of segue, and probably should have done so, but I did want to get Alan's opinion on that. You mentioned, regardless of who's quarterback, you feel like they should be able to move the ball on the Chicago defense. What do you see when you watch the Chicago defense? Everybody sees the injury report and sees they're missing their top 3 linebackers, obviously, and they have been a very banged up group. But why do you feel the way that you do about the Steelers' ability to move the ball against them?
Yeah, I mean, this defense hasn't been great this year. Like, you look at all the numbers, they've been playing a little bit better recently. I think one of the interesting parts of this matchup is going to be that the Bears are actually going to be getting a lot of guys back in the secondary, it looks like. Jalen Johnson, star cornerback, like he's only played a couple plays this year. He's probably going to play, I would assume. And then they're also going to be getting Kyler Gordon back, who I actually think is probably like the X factor in terms of really unlocking what they want to do schematically on the back end. But this is a defense that really struggles to get pressure. They don't have like an alpha pass rusher necessarily, like somebody that they can rely on to win one-on-one, and they don't blitz a ton. So whoever's going to be playing back here at quarterback is going to have a good amount of time. And then you alluded to like all 3 of their base linebackers are all going to miss this game. Sewell has really struggled throughout the season. He's a guy that's kind of been miscast in that defensive front. But Edwards and Edmonds are both solid players that have some limitations, but certainly do some things well as well. So I think this would be a really good game to get the run game going, just because, you know, you got a quarterback that probably going to be banged up a little bit. And this Steelers offense has really struggled like over the past month. We talked about it a little bit, I feel like, on the preview last week as well, but the Steelers offense has been, you know, pretty abysmal now for several weeks. I mean, they're 26th in EPA per play, 28th in success rate just over the past month. So maybe the Bengals game wasn't the get right game that we were kind of hoping it would be, and they didn't need it, so they escaped with a win regardless. But it would be nice to see them kind of get back into a nice groove against the Bears defense. It's definitely missing some pieces.
Alan?
Yeah, I think this Bears defense has been pretty bad. I do think they have some guys coming back from injury that could be difference makers, but I think the Steelers should be able to run the ball against them, especially with that heavy package. Their edges are not very good. I think you can run wide zone against them. It just seems like the things that the Steelers are good at and the Steelers want to do, especially when it comes to running the ball, really line up with Chicago's weaknesses. And then the one strength, the ability to take the ball away, especially over the middle. Their safeties are their big interception guys. Byard, I think, has
5
4 or 5, maybe. Yeah. It's just not something that we've seen a lot from Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph is dangerous throws over the middle. Like, those guys have both been pretty cognizant about where they're putting the football. And so I just think from when you look at the Steelers offense and the Bears defense, I think the matchup really tilts pretty heavily towards the Steelers. Just I don't really think they'll be super impacted by what the Bears do well. And I think the things the Steelers want to do anyway are awfully tough matchups for Chicago.
Any hesitation about the ground game? Obviously, he's going to go, but Jalen Warren, if there is a step back in the workload or no, because of what we've seen Kenny Gainwell be able to do. And, hey, maybe also potentially get Caleb Johnson some work in this one.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, and I think all 3 of them can do it against this defense.
DB?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really one of the things I'll be looking forward to seeing, just what Jalen's workload is. I think the big thing that Chicago's defense has really struggled with too, and it's not something that the Steelers have done very much this season with very much success at all, has been they've really struggled defending the deep ball. So it'll be interesting to see like what the corners look like. I always think when you're getting corners back into the lineup, I always think that like a shot play early in the game to kind of test those guys' mobility just is always a pretty good idea, maybe just to try to see if you can get one over the top cheap. But Alan said Bayard's still playing at a really nice level. Some of their coverage rotations on the back end are really made because of his flexibility and the ability to like bait quarterbacks into bad throws. And he's always been a guy that's, opportunistic when the ball is in the air. So, you got to kind of pick and choose where you get your spots a little bit. But one of the things that's interesting is despite all of the injuries that Chicago's dealt with, they have been really good at defending like short throws, like underneath throws when the ball comes out quick. They play a lot of zone coverage. Been a little bit more man-to-man recently. I think you could see an uptick in that for sure with all the corners coming back. But they've done a decent job like containing like yards after catch on quick throws. And we know that's kind of like how the Pittsburgh offense is kind of, lives and dies by at this point.
Yeah, if you scroll up one video here on YouTube, you can see the Steelers quarterbacks and receivers practice today. Go balls and back shoulders was the route concept they were focused on. Seems like that fits exactly what DB's talking about.
It could be hard to say, deployment when they have guys coming back on the back end of things and how they want to mix and match. But I wanted to go there next before we flip sides and just say what you like, your opinion, what you feel like the coverage plan will be on the Chicago side of things, defending the Steelers pass catchers. Obviously, there's not like a guy that strikes a ton of fear in you outside of DK Metcalf in that respect. Do they have the guys that can cover the tight ends, though?
Bayard's a guy. I mean,
Bayard and
Brisker.
I can name a linebacker. So
yeah, I mean, Bayard and Brisker are guys that you would trust in that matchup. I think the big thing is just going to be, I would anticipate that the Bears are probably going to take a similar, plan of attack as what some of these other teams have been doing, which is, playing a lot of too high structures, making sure that the Steelers, run them out of those, and then on third down, just dedicating, two sets of eyes or four eyes to DK Metcalf and making other people beat you. I think that'll be a big part of that. Now, the way they counteract that is, the Steelers don't have the weapons that scare you, and they're not going to have the advantage in those other spots, especially on the perimeter out there. But, a way that you can counteract that is just run the football. You stay ahead of the chains. You put yourself into neutral down situations to where you can run or pass. I think that'll be big in this one. And I don't see any reason why they couldn't do that. But, the execution aspect on the road in a different type of environment against the Bears, who haven't really beaten anybody, like beaten a lot of good teams this year. The record's a little bit like misleading, in my opinion. I don't think they're necessarily like a 7-3 team on when you watch them on film. But, when you've got a young quarterback playing like that, there's a lot of optimism in Chicago around like Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson. I'm assuming the crowd's going to be pretty hostile. Ticket prices are out the wazoo. I wanted to go to this game, but I'm not because it's going to cost me a small fortune. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be a relatively hostile environment, especially if Rodgers plays. The fans don't like him because he's owned them for a long time. So,
absolutely. Alan, I don't know if you had anything else to add. You were saying about you couldn't name a linebacker, but in terms of the coverage plan.
Yeah, I think the Steelers should feel good about their tight ends. I don't know about the receivers.
Okay. All right. Well, other side of the ball, I'll start with you for this, Alan, because when we were talking about this, in the Cam Hayward discussion, you said you think it is going to be a big week for them to play in base defensively. What is that just because we know Chicago can run the ball? They got obviously a couple of good backs in DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, who I'm a huge fan of. What made you say that? Is that just more about Chicago or what you think the Steelers just want to do?
Yeah, I don't know about the entirety of their season, but over the last couple of weeks, more 12 and even 13 personnel have been the norm. Obviously, if you're familiar with Ben Johnson's work from Detroit, that shouldn't come as a huge surprise to you. But, just looking at this game, this feels like an AFC North opponent to me. A lot of 2 and 3 tight ends. They're going to run the ball a ton. They're going to throw to those tight ends. They're going to have some quarterback run in there. Yeah, they're going to throw the ball, but it's not the thing. This isn't the Bengals, who I understand are in AFC North. This is the Browns. This is the Ravens. Stop the rushing attack, both the quarterback run and the running backs, and you win the game very easily. And that rushing attack is not spread you out and fool you. It is 2 and 3 tight ends and fairly obvious attention to it. And so I just feel like it's kind of honestly, it's like an even bigger than base defense kind of game in some instances with that 13 personnel they run. I think you got to have they'll probably play that 44 they run some. I think it'll look like they're defending the Ravens in a lot of ways.
DB?
Yeah, I think the big thing with Chicago, they've kind of got the perfect marriage of what every team's kind of looking for at the tight end position right now. They drafted Colston Loveland, who's, he's coming on for sure. I think the hands, the way that he's addressing the ball in flight is really reminiscent of what you saw on his Michigan tape. And then also Cole Kmet, like his ability to, function as an inline blocker gives him a lot of flexibility, like Alan talked about in that 12 personnel package. And I think the run game is just very versatile. They can do a lot of zone stuff. They have some really cool like wind back runs. With Ben Johnson, like he's always going to have like a couple of those like trick 'em dick 'em plays. You're going to have to be on high alert for those. You're going to have to be on high alert for the shot plays over the top. And then just like one thing I really respect about his offensive approach and their ecosystem over there is like they just have like a couple wrinkles every single week that you haven't seen before on film. And I can honestly say that with a lot of certainty because the Bears are really the only other team other than the Steelers that I've seen every single game they've played this year. But the way that the offense has continually evolved, I think is definitely interesting. It's going to make for a good matchup for a Steelers defense who's been playing a lot better over the past month.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very curious. What do you make of Caleb Williams' play, DB? Because last year I feel like maybe a bit disappointing, especially for Bears fans that had to watch Jaden Daniels have the rookie year that he did. Obviously, that has not repeated, and that now Drake May playing at the level that he has. Caleb's doing a good job not turning the ball over as much. Only 5 turnover-worthy plays this year. Still holding on to the ball a ton. Do you think that's something that maybe favors the Steelers' pass rush? Or do you think that like it's going to be a big emphasis for on the Chicago side of things for him to speed up the process?
Yeah, what's funny is you mentioned the Daniels thing last year has that remarkable rookie year, and Drake May's kind of ascended to like superstar status or at least star status this year. I think Caleb's like development really to me is just like the normal quarterback development arc. And that's probably frustrating to some people, but like this is typically what it looks like. You get put into a situation that's usually not great as a rookie, and then you want to just try to continually build on that foundation. I think Caleb's done a lot of really good stuff. I think some of the time to throw stuff can be a little bit misleading with their offense specifically because does Caleb hold the ball a lot? Yes, I think that is also true. But when Alan was hitting on it earlier about like how this offense really functions, they want to run the football. The run game is like they get some explosives on the run game for sure, but that is kind of like the jabs. And then Caleb's responsibility in this offense is the play action stuff, the deep shots down the field. And that's really like when you run a lot of under center and a lot of under center play action, they're top 5 in both those rates around the NFL. You're gonna those plays specifically take a long time to develop. So some of those plays are like, him just having to hold the ball a little bit to push it down the field. So but I think Caleb's definitely playing a little bit better. And the Chicago offense is just playing better in general. Like you look at some of the numbers over the past month. I mean, they're 5th in EPA per play. They're 7th in success rate. They're one of the most explosive offenses in the league just because they're throwing down the field a lot off those play action looks. So it's not perfect. I think that they're still struggling with some personnel stuff. The left tackle's been an issue. I don't know.
And is questionable.
I don't even know if he's playing this week. That would mean they're going back to maybe Braxton Jones. The Braxton Jones thing would be interesting because he's actually a better pass protector, but he's not as good of a run blocker. The Bears are really, really good in the run game, especially weaponizing Darnell Wright. So it could change their approach a little bit, but hanging on to the football, like what you're saying, Smitty, that's not the way that teams typically play the Steelers because of their pass rush. So it is going to make for an interesting, styles makes fights type of matchup, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about it with Herbert, right? It's a guy that's 6th longest time to throw going into that game. Not to say it was Flacco or Jordan Love but he did speed up the average.
And that's the advantage of having Herbert's obviously a very, very good quarterback. Some would probably say elite too. Is those veteran guys, they can kind of flip a switch. Those true franchise quarterbacks, they can change the way they play based on the opponent. I don't think Caleb's necessarily there yet. So I think that the Bears are probably going to try to go into it this is who we are. We're going to try to establish our physical dominance. Because like Alan said, it's kind of a little bit of an AFC North feel with the way that they like to play in the trenches. Because Ben Johnson really came in there and overhauled just the physicality element to their offense, I feel with the way they attack.
Okay. Yep. All right. Let's get into some predictions. Bold, and then of course a final score. I'll be honest. This took me a long time to come up with one offensively, and you guys can even tell me if you feel like this isn't bold enough. I was asking about what we felt like the workload was going to be at running back. I think Kenny Gainwell and Jalen Warren both have over 60 total yards.
That would be a good key to success, I think.
Mine
to get
is
a lot of yards.
very similar to that, but just a little
Okay.
bit different. I will say that I think between Warren, Gainwell, Swift, and Monangai, two 100-yard rushers in this game.
Oh, okay.
I feel like mine is bolder than yours, but we're sort of on the same wavelength here.
Mm-hmm. What if one of them has 200 rushing yards?
That'd be.
You need two individual players.
I don't think I can claim victory on that. I need 200-yard rushers.
Okay. DB, what are we thinking offensively?
I actually had my defensive one ready this time. The offensive one is interesting because just that linebacker core, I really don't know how it's going to play out, man. Honestly, I have no idea who like their fourth and fifth backup even is. So that's one of the things. But I will say that, Darnell Washington, I think, had his most productive day last week as a receiver. My bold prediction is that he tops that this week.
Oh,
receiving yards wise.
So Ruben Hippolyte will probably be one of the linebackers that play quite a bit.
Well, that's not a real person. So who's next? Do they have a fifth one on the depth chart?
Based off on they actually have 6 linebackers currently on their 53. DeMarco Jackson and Amen Ogbong.
Okay. Well, here's the moral of the story.
Sounds like a bad guy from the Hunger Games.
I watch a pretty decent amount of football.
By the way, out of Maryland this year.
Yeah, I watch a pretty decent amount of football. The fact that none of those 3 guys sound like real people to me says that this is probably going to be a good matchup, I feel like, for the Steelers tight end. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with my prediction of Darnell Washington receiving.
That'd be the 3rd game this year that Darnell sets a new career high. So, I mean, maybe you should.
Oh, yeah, that is a career high. Oh, yeah, so I feel good. I was wondering if that was bold enough, but, yeah, I guess that would be bold enough for sure. Can I go first on the defensive one? Just because
you seem
I
pretty
actually
excited
have
about your
my
side,
prediction ready. My prediction is that the great one, Mr. Your favorite corner's favorite corner, James Pierre, gets his first interception of the season.
Ooh.
I
think it's a mistake for Caleb to even target him. So
yeah, I mean, it's basically like Champ Bailey over there. Yeah. No, I mean, I think he's been so close, man. And one of the things that I would say about the Bears receivers is that they struggle a little bit with contact, and I think that Pierre may play. If they do want to play a little bit more man coverage and get an extra player in the box in this game, he may have the chance to play a little bit more in press, use his length at his advantage, and those guys don't do well with that. And I would also say that, which is the one thing that I would say about the Bears offense still being very much a work in progress, is they aren't very detail oriented at the receiver position. Those guys will like quit on routes a little bit, and they will allow defenders to kind of get back into plays because of some of the angles that they take out of their breaks. I'm going to say that James Pierre jumps one, and he gets a pick on Caleb.
I like it. I appreciate how eager you were, the confidence level.
How could you not be confident in James Pierre?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anything James Pierre related, I'm not even sure if I would consider bold. I'll go before Alan here. Mine kind of related. I guess it could also kind of include the Steelers offense. So I think the Steelers win the turnover battle by 2+ turnovers in this one, whether it's them getting 2 and not turning.
So that means they're going to win.
We're 3-1. Yes. We haven't done
so we know your
predictions yet, but
yeah.
I think they're going to be able to take the ball away in this one because Caleb does hold on to it a little bit. He's done it, like I said, he's done a good job not doing so. Only 5 turnover-worthy plays this year. I think he's playing a super opportunistic defense that teaches and preaches taking the football away, and it's going to happen a few times. Alan?
Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-0 when J.J. Watt calls the game. T.J. Watt is a half sack behind J.J. in the all-time career sack total.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'm going over two or more sacks for T.J. Watt and probably some implication and some kind of turnover as well. The Darnell Wright has been playing really well as the right tackle for the Bears, but he is really good as a run blocker. And I think, especially with a questionable situation at left tackle, the Bears are going to be tempted to try to leave him alone over there. And that is a mistake. It does not matter how good you think your right tackle is. You still cannot feed him to 90 one-on-one. And I think they're going to try it, and I think it's going to go poorly.
I was going to say, could they take one of – we talked about having them having two good pass-catching tight ends. Now, they're good in line as well and everything like that. But could one of them almost be eliminated by the fact of what the Steelers have at edge in the tackle situation?
I will say this. They do leave Kmet in similar pass blocking situations that the Steelers will leave Darnell in. So, like, they are very similar in, like, the amount of trust that the coaching staff has in them. Now, if the Bears want – I don't care. I mean, Kmet is a fantastic blocker. If they want to leave him one-on-one with Nick Herbig or TJ Watt, be my guest. So
he's going to
have fun with that.
He's
have
fun
fun
chip,
with that.
But he can't chip two people on every play. And Loveland is not much of a blocker.
Today's Nick Herbig's birthday. Didn't come up in any of our bold predictions. I thought he might, just for that reason. I'm typically, I guess, the one that kind of looks for that type of stuff when I go with a bold prediction, but didn't throw that out there. Why did our screens? Okay, we're back. That threw me off. I don't even know if Alan noticed because he wasn't looking away. Our screens, for whatever reason, we switched sides for a second, then immediately switched back. Anyways, all right, good stuff. Let's get to the final score predictions. DB was so eager to go first on that. I'll go first again, doing final score, because I kind of feel like I alluded to what my prediction is already. I do feel really good about the Steelers in this one, and that's not necessarily saying like I feel like the offense is going to like explode. It's been a month since they've done so I'm done predicting it to happen. I just hope that it does one of these weeks. I think they'll play pretty well regardless of which quarterback it is in there, though. I think they're definitely going to do enough. Like I said, I think the defense gets a few takeaways, 2 or 3 in this one. I'm going to go Steelers 26, Bears 20.
I have felt pretty good about this game for the Steelers the whole time, but I've really struggled with trying to decide how high scoring it's going to be. Because I do think both teams, but I like both offenses against both defenses, but I think the way they're going to move the ball is going to be mostly on the ground, which generally leads itself to a shorter game with fewer possessions. So I really struggled with where to put this final. I'm going to go the Steelers win a lower scoring game. Steelers win 18-14.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I might need to have a second coffee if that's the type of game that we're getting. All right, DB, where are we at?
So the Bears and Steelers have played 28 times. The Bears have won 19 of those games. It's kind of crazy. The Steelers have only beaten the Bears.
One in Chicago?
The Steelers have only actually beaten the Bears 8 times. They've had one tie. I actually did think to myself earlier this week that predicting a tie was going to be like the bold prediction that I was going to have, just because I felt like both of these teams, they don't play a lot of like normal games. Like if you watch the Steelers and the Bears, there's a lot of like similarities to like how they win, where it's like they'll win games and then you'll feel bad about it almost. Like after you watch it, it's like, were they really the best team? Like, did they really deserve to win this game? So like I almost thought about making that my bold prediction was that it was going to be a tie. But I do think the Steelers are going to win this game. I'm going to say that it's going to be 21-20 Steelers. I'm going to say that it's not a Boz late field goal game winner or a late touchdown. I'm going to say that Caleb has a chance to win it at the buzzer, but the Steelers get a stop. So,
I remember that game that tied. I was a kid. It was just about this time of year, and I remember I was really upset because I wanted to watch the game, and my dad told me we had to go do Christmas, like get ready for Christmas, like go pick out a tree. Like it was like that was like the day the family had that plan. And I can remember getting back in his truck and turning the game on the radio and be like, they tied? Well, I guess I didn't miss anything. Like, I was real upset that I was missing the game. And then it was a tie. It was a real low-scoring tie, too. It might have been like 10-10 or something like that. It was one of those games where you're like, I missed nothing here.
Yeah, nothing feels like a bigger waste of time, to be honest.
So I was that all worked out in the end there. I didn't have to watch the tie. We got Christmas taken care of as a family. Good memory there.
For those keeping track, I did play this game in Madden. I won with the Steelers 37-14. So
no, we're good.
If we can get a repeat, if we can get a repeat of that performance, then we're looking good. And also this is probably the second strongest all season I feel about them winning a game. I just have a really good feel. Probably like after the Browns when they came here a month ago. So I'm feeling good. Let us know in the comments how you are feeling. Of course, we want your predictions, both bold and final score ones. And you guys know the drill. Got to tell the people where they can find us. DB, we'll start with you.
At Steelers_DB on Twitter and YouTube. You can find all my written work at SteelersNow.com. Wrote a couple things this week for the site. Just about some of the evolution of the defense with Duggar and Ramsey back there at safety, some of the statistical and schematic improvements that they've made. And then I also wrote about the George Pickens, like, is this the worst trade in NFL history debate? This is the last time I'm ever writing about that. So if you ever ask me about George Pickens again, I'm going to direct you to this link.
Talk about George's Players Tribune article.
We don't need to. We've closed the yearbook, Alan. Everybody needs to close the yearbook, please.
No, I'm not closing.
I know you have George, specifically.
George in there, the two highlights of that, and you should go read it because it's good. The two highlights in there for me was George just admitting that he was just trolling in all of his media appearances, and also George's mom, who like apparently edited the story for him, just calling him out for being a liar in like the fourth paragraph of the story. She's like, my son is prone to some exaggeration or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. So it was pretty funny. Actually appreciated that.
Yeah. One more thing. Tomorrow, if you're an NFL draft enthusiast, because I think we've gotten some comments asking for like NFL draft stuff. So, but I'll be writing something NFL draft related for the site in the morning. You guys can check that out.
I'm sure it'll be great. Genuinely, I'm a big fan of everything DB does, but those two this week specifically were probably two of my favorite things that I've read of this. So, big fan. Be sure to check them out and continue to support the kid. Alan, tell people where to find you.
Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. God, make me post on Instagram from Chicago, Smitty. Just make me do it. Just text me
when you text me
and be like, post on Instagram, you jerk, or something like that. Steelersnow.com. Sign up for SN Plus. Notes on the Road will be coming from Chicago. Should be fun. Got some cool stuff lined up for that. Also, just go check out Brandon's story with DK Metcalf today. Really good. I gotta say, I think one of the best stories he's written for us. Talked to him about his dad playing for the Bears, his memories of growing up in Chicago, how I feel like it helped form him into the person that he became. Played one game in Chicago in his career, so this will only be the second time, so that's kind of cool. And of course, anyone can subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel, continue to grow this show and all the rest of our shows to bigger and bigger audiences. Where are we at?
Yeah, not a great number. 17,046. I want to say Will Johnson?
Maybe. Arnold Harrison is the one that comes to my mind right away. Was like a practice squad linebacker in the early 2000s.
What was the number again?
46.
Yeah, Will Johnson was the only one that was.
Will Johnson, 2012-15. Christian Kuntz currently wearing it. This is not. I mean, I don't even know most of these names. It hasn't been worn a ton to begin with. How about Matthew Thomas, outside linebacker, 2018?
There was a lot of hype for Matthew Thomas, I think, coming out of preseason, if I remember correctly.
He was one of those guys, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Not to the level of Tuzar Skipper.
There's a running back.
There's always one or two of them.
I can picture him, but I can't think of his name. Skinnier guy. Plays some special teams too, maybe.
Skinny guy wearing 46?
Yeah, not a big running back.
Yeah, you know why he didn't stick around.
Maybe like 05, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
Okay, so Dante Brown, 04.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one.
Okay.
Okay,
he was 6 foot 200 was that he's listed at.
Yeah, he was definitely skinny. Skinny guy for 46. That's not a 46 is a number that only looks good on a long snapper.
I'd agree. So shout out Christian.
Friend of the program. Fullback's not bad either.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so yeah, drop us your predictions down below. Like I said, if you're listening somewhere else, Apple, hopefully Spotify. Alan, any resolution? By the way, I don't know if anything's been said about it.
So if you get the problem is with Spotify and Apple, and right now the episodes are there. The problem is there is a repeated glitch where like Tuesday's Morning Rush starts to play first, and then like 6 minutes in, it skips to the. So you just got to fast forward Tuesday's Morning Rush to get to all the other episodes that are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right now. Megaphone is aware of it, and hopefully they're fixing it. Fingers crossed. I don't know, but we can.
I'm about to show up to their headquarters with a megaphone if it's not fixed soon.
Yeah,
I don't know where their headquarters are, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe.
We'll leave them a less than 5-star review is what we'll do.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's getting close. Hit me up everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH. You guys know the drill. Alan Saunders, Derrick Bell, and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.